Pregame.com.
I'm Marco D'Angelo. I'm joined by Stephen Nover. We're in Vegas. It's the day after. Normally, day after, that could be anything in Vegas. We could wake up with strippers, whatever, but we're talking the day after the AFC, NFC championship games. Stephen, two absolutely exciting games yesterday. Both of them, go down to one goes down to the wire. Should have went to overtime. The other one does go to overtime, and then the way it ended. First question to you, as we move forward to the Super Bowl, are the two best teams advancing to the Super Bowl after yesterday's games?
Well, you can't disagree about New England being the best team in the AFC. As far as the Giants, well, maybe not for the entire season, but the Giants were the best team when it counted. These last 3-4 weeks, no team has played better, including New England, than the Giants.
Well, the Giant game, that one went right down to the wire and went either way. I actually don't think the best team's going to the Super Bowl in the AFC. I think Baltimore should have won yesterday's game the way they lost the game. Maybe I'm a little biased, but we both were on Baltimore. I had, Baltimore as my...
Give me more than a touchdown, we're going to be on Baltimore,
yeah.
That's...
it was my playoff game of the year, but to miss the field goal at the end of the game, not to send that into overtime, just horrific to miss a 32-yard field goal. It's inexcusable. But Lee Evans, who had a marvelous game for the Ravens yesterday, great game, but he catches the winning touchdown pass, or the go-ahead touchdown pass, and has it swatted out of his hands.
Which leads me to ask you, Marco, if you were John Harbaugh, would you challenge that? That would have taken their last time out, and they probably would not have won the challenge, but was it worth a shot? Because that was awfully close.
Well, first of all, correct me, and I'm not 100% up on all of the rules, but that was in the final 2 minutes. So that isn't that a booth?
I think unless it's a touchdown or something, they wouldn't necessarily review it. I think you'd have to throw the flag
because
on that.
The situation is with only the one timeout, they needed a timeout. If they want to run one more play.
Realize that. It's a hindsight thing, because if they don't, they can shoot the field goal unit on the field.
I'm of this thing that I thought once you had the ball, once you broke the plane and you got the ball in your hand, that it's a touchdown. I know we had the situation back beginning of the year, last season with the Detroit Lion play in the end zone, the guy catching the ball, and I think that could they have overturned it if he challenged it? I don't know. It was so quick, so
I know. Yeah.
I think if the call would have been a touchdown and New England would have challenged it, I don't think they could have reversed it. I think the way they called it, and if Baltimore challenged it, I just don't think there was enough to change what they did on the field. The guy made the call on the field, whether it was right or wrong. Lee Evans in that situation, you got to protect the ball.
It was close.
It's like he caught it and he just let up. It just because the guy swatted it clean, but still, Baltimore. Give them credit. They kept fighting back. They played. I got a question. What did you think of, hit rewind 3 or 4 minutes in the game when they were down to like the 4 or 5 minute mark and they bypassed the 51-yard field goal?
He wasn't going to make it.
He wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
But you still got timeouts. Do you try the 4th and 6 play? Or do you try to punt and pin him inside the 10?
I thought he did the right thing going for it on 4th and 6. Here's the problem with your premise with Baltimore being the best team in the AFC. Unless they had the kind of defense they had, like in 2000, 2001, whatever the year they won the Super Bowl, Trent Dilfer, quarterback. You're not going to the Super Bowl, Marco, with Joe Flacco. You have to have an elite quarterback to get to the Super Bowl unless you have a dominant, great defense. They have a very good defense. It's not their great dominant defense that they had 10 years ago.
You guys that beat the crap out of Joe Flacco, he threw for 300 yards yesterday. He had 2 touchdowns and should have had 3 if Lee Evans protects the ball. He had a great game yesterday. I think they were the better team. by far yesterday. Now, could they win the Super Bowl? That's a different story. But and it's one of the reasons why they give New England matchup problems. And Tom Brady was rattled yesterday. If you looked at the stats yesterday, who had the better game yesterday, Flacco or Brady?
Well, who won the game? That's the way I got to come back at you, Marco. I mean, Flacco's thrown for over 3,600 yards the last 3 years. He's got a nice winning record in playoffs, although I attributed that a lot to the defense. He's not an elite quarterback. Alex Smith is an elite quarterback. What's the same? Neither San Francisco nor Baltimore is going to the Super Bowl.
Well, I can't disagree with you that he's not an elite quarterback, but I don't think he deserves the bashing that he gets. He made plays yesterday.
Well,
he made some good. He started the first series tentative. The play calling was horrendous because the first two series, they ran the ball, then they put him in 3rd and long, and that's not what you want to have.
They ran the ball because they don't trust the guy as a playmaker to go out there and attack the defense. You have to set him up, and that all comes down to being an elite quarterback.
All right, we'll agree to disagree that the better team did not win the AFC
we've been lining
side.
up too much on basketball.
Yeah.
We got to have a little disagreement here in football.
On the NFC side, San Francisco and the Giants, just horrible, gut-wrenching way for San Francisco to lose that game. That game could have went either way.
Sure.
Alex Smith made 3 plays in the game. Basically, that's it. He had 3 big throws, but they counted. I mean, he had all of his yardage on basically 3 plays. He had some big runs. The defense for the 49ers played a brilliant game, but I got to tell you, one thing that I've come out of yesterday, watching the 2 games and the 4 quarterbacks, my respect for Eli Manning has gone way, way up. This guy was a warrior yesterday. He was hit so many times yesterday, and he took hits that half of the quarterbacks in the league would have went to the sideline and not been out there for the next play, and he lined up and still made the next play. In a couple of those hits he took, he completed the pass, didn't get to put all of the, his motion or, momentum into the throw and still completed the play. I don't know how he kept getting up yesterday with the hits he took in the second half.
All you have to know about Eli Manning is the guy is 6-1 in road playoff games, 7-0 against the spread. And he's coming off the finest season he ever had. If he's not in the Brady, Breeze, Aaron Rodgers class, but he's at that very next tier, pushing that class. I concur with you on Eli Manning. The 49ers, ironically, lost that game because of special teams, and they have great special teams all year.
Maybe best
kicker and punter. Best kicker-punter combination, without a doubt. And they also had a great return guy, Ted Ginn, did not play. If he plays, San Francisco wins. Yes.
Absolutely. The play, first of all, I mean, the whole game, you don't go anywhere near a bouncing ball, okay? Especially in a monsoon. Yeah. You're playing on a wet field, grass field, the field's tore up, the ball's wet. Why are you even within 5 yards of a bouncing ball?
It's getting to the point, Marco, where maybe you rush 6 guys to block the punt, and the rest of the guys you don't have on the field, or you shove them all the way off to the sideline where you take no chances.
And then there was late in the 4th quarter when the 49ers made another stop, and they were going to get good field position on the punt exchange. He fair catches it with nobody around him. Yeah. Nobody around him. He fair catches it, gives up at least 10 yards of field position. Yeah. They would have had the ball at midfield at worst. Yeah. And then later in overtime, he fields the ball in traffic and fumbles it.
Like we said, if they had a regular punt returner, Ted Ginn, they win the game. They win the game. With
that said, we I kind of say Baltimore should have won, and it should be Baltimore in the Super Bowl. We're agreeing if Ted Ginn's in the game, it wouldn't have been the Giants. It would have been the 49ers in there. But we got what we got. So now we got to look at that. And moving forward, the opening number, we're looking at it opened at 3.5, 55.5. We're sitting at the Giant money come in right away. Grabbed that 3.5. Yeah. Now it's a case, and people got to understand to our viewers that 3.5 and 4 if it would go the other direction. Not a big difference. But 3.5 to 3 is a huge difference because so many games in the NFL fall on 3.
Yeah.
A lot of it, sharp money, but a lot of it is just, it's a number. And people are going to bet that number. The hook was there. They're grabbing the Giants with the hook because their expectations was it wasn't going to be there for long. Now, is that what the sharps truly like? We'll see later getting into closer to game time. But this is people making a position of grabbing. It's like your wife going shopping and seeing a pair of shoes on sale. They're going to get those pair of shoes at that one price.
Not just shoes, a dress, a purse, everything that's color coordinated. It doesn't stop at the shoes.
But it's a number. That's the number they wanted, and they grabbed it. So any first, I mean, obviously we're going to get, next week into the videos with the Super Bowl, but just early thoughts and preview of what we got to look forward to, because this is a different situation. Going back to Baltimore, New England, my premise was that Baltimore, it wasn't going against a tough defense like they were the week before against Houston. And on the same token, New England wasn't going against a soft offense like they did against Denver. So, the two teams, Baltimore looked bad going into the New England game. New England looked better than they should have. But now coming out of that, they're facing a Giant team where the Giants are more of a threat offensively than defensively than Baltimore. You got to agree, the Giant offense has more weapons than Baltimore.
Yeah, there are a lot of different,
especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah, you got to wonder if the 2 weeks between games is going to hurt the Giants, because they had so much momentum, winning week after week, playing their best ball. Now you have that off week, and huge revenge for New England. When they lost to the Giants 4 years ago, they were a better team than they are now, even more explosive.
Double revenge. They lost to them this year in regular season, too.
Right.
Which doesn't mean as much.
It doesn't compare to what because they were 18-0. That would have been an all-time great team. So who would have thought that they would get the chance to get a revenge in a Super Bowl?
They're gonna get it. I agree with you about the momentum factor. The last thing when you're on a roll like the Giants are is to have that second week. But I got to tell you, if there is one team that needs an extra week to, heal up from a game, that game against the 49ers was physical.
Sure, it was the later game, and it went into overtime.
They need that extra week. So I think it's going to be to their advantage that they need it. I'm not saying they're the side. I know a lot of people. There were some people, when I was around, I was at Caesars when the line came out, talking. Some people, because of the way the Giants are playing right now, and everybody's making a comparison to last year's Green Bay Packer team, get hot at the right time and ride it into the Super Bowl, that should they even been an underdog, and I'm like, I mean, this is still the New England Patriots and Tom Brady, just on name alone, you're going to have New England as the favorite.
We talked about Eli, how great he's been this year. He's still trumped by Tom Brady.
Yeah. But he's earning his credit as being able to go on the road and win in the playoffs.
Well, I tell you, you can make cases for either teams, and obviously we're going to be talking a lot about this game in the next couple of weeks. But I don't see how the Giants are going to have a huge matchup problem against the Patriots tight ends, this Rob Gronkowski. Just a monster. How do you match up with this guy? Big
thing we're going to have to watch and see how. I mean, he left that game yesterday.
He's fine.
But he came back.
Fine.
So that is a huge matchup. But on the same token, how is New England's secondary going to stop Cruz? This guy's been playing just lights out.
Well, if I had to pick one coach given 2 weeks to prepare a defensive game plan, no doubt it's Bill Belichick. Now, does he have the chess pieces to do that?
Yeah.
They've gotten better, though. Defensively, New England. Since week 3, they haven't allowed more than 24 points in a game. One time they gave up 27 to the Redskins of all team. But other than that, so their defense, they give up a lot of yardage, but they're middle of the road as far as points allowed, middle of the road as far as sacks. They actually tied for third in most takeaways. So it's an improving defense, and they have a real guru there to tailor something for the next 2 weeks. And
well, there's no question this guy can devise things. He's put offensive players on the defensive field, and it's going to be a good matchup. And let's we're talking about Bill Belichick, and we got to wrap this up, but let's give Tom Coughlin a little bit of credit too.
Certainly deserves it.
Here's a guy that they were, there was rumblings calling for his job when they were in the middle of that losing streak. And, after starting the season as hot as they did, and then the losing streak, everybody said, here we go again with the second half collapse. And for a change, they finished the season on a run instead of that December collapse like they normally have.
I don't think there's been a coach in NFL history that has won as many road playoff games as Coughlin has. If there is, it's maybe just one more win. He's way up there in that, and he does a nice job.
He's done a super job. He's got he definitely has the hottest quarterback going in. Right now, Eli is just, he's got a lot of confidence and swagger to him, and best season that he's had. And it's ironic. It's funny that his best season comes the season that his brother is injured all year.
Yeah, who would have thought that he'd come into Indianapolis and steal Peyton's thunder? That's his town. And, with the Giants, when they beat the Patriots 4 years ago in the Super Bowl, they sacked Brady 5 times. They can do that again. Their front four is great on paper, and it came together the last few weeks because Umanara and Tuck had been injured. Now they're fully healthy, and this Jason Pierre-Paul is an absolute monster. 16.5 sacks. So they sacked Brady 5 times. I would dare say they're going to win the game.
They'll be playing on a fast track, indoors. That was one of the things that did help San Francisco somewhat yesterday, is as good as that pass rush is of the Giants with that wet field and heavy
slowed
field.
It up.
It slowed it up a little bit because they're not a team. They get their pressure from their front four. They don't get the pressure with a lot of blitzes and stuff. So, the fact that they couldn't generate that speed rush with the front four, negated because of the weather, that's not going to be a factor in the Super Bowl.
It allows them to drop 7 into coverage. And let's face it, New England is very strong in the middle of the field with their passing attack, with Welker with the slants and the 2 tight ends, Gronkowski and Hernandez. They don't have the speed, though, at the flanks. They don't have a speedster.
Total 55.5. Super Bowl totals always going to be a couple points higher than it
second highest one of all time.
It's always going to be because they know the public wants to bet one way. The public wants to bet over.
And it's the one time of the year where the public money outweighs wise guy money, is the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to bet under, I would wait. Even though it's already the second highest total, I would wait.
It'll probably go up. Hey, we'll have a lot more coverage the next 2 weeks here at Pregame.tv about the Super Bowl. We'll have stuff in the forums. Check out Pregame forums. All the guys will be weighing in on things about the Super Bowl. It's almost 2 weeks is overload, talking leading up, but we'll cover every angle we got. So be sure to follow everything at Pregame.tv for all of your videos for football and basketball. And, of course, you can catch us at PregameVideos.com, where we have the mega thread with all of our videos in one spot. And all of the pro handicappers will stop by and talk to you, answer your questions. He's Stephen Nover. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We'll be back with more videos later in the week.